Welcome to another Canna Culture vlog where we discuss topics that affect our community of cannabis enthusiasts and open the floor for discussion and insight from the masses. So today's topic is arbitrary Washington state cannabis regulations, but before we dive into it, let's take a dab. So, in preparation for today's topic, we took a few IG polls to hear what other functional potheads thought of Washington established regulations, and here's what we learned. Our social media followers are disgruntled that there's no CBD in grocery stores. Inconsistent Delta 8 rulings, which we do have a Cannabis Corner update dropping soon, so stay tuned. And 63% of our voters felt like there were inconsistent interpretation of LCB laws across different dispensaries. So of the over 500, I believe, retail shops, everyone is interpreting these regulations that are enforced by the LCB board a little bit differently. That's weird. And then 93% of voters said that they would rather have eco-friendly products than child-proof options, and we think that's quite interesting, given the fact that because we have such a heavy focus on child-proof products, we inherently create waste, and we dove into those subjects with our Waste in the I-502 Industry Potheads Pondering segment, and Where's the Haste to Dealing with Our Waste Canna Culture vlog. So please tap into both of those and join the conversation. What caught our eye and really wanted us to focus a little bit more on was the fact that after almost 10 years of cannabis, we're discussing the lack of home grow. You know, what's that purpose? What's the point of it being prohibited? And as we mentioned before, the states is heavily focused on the general public and the protection of said public. So in early legislation, home grow laws were kept out before even taking legislation to the Senate due to the fact that they were worried that it would be shot down. So time and time again, we attempted to lobby or push for home grow regulation and didn't get any traction. Well, you know, but let's back that up a little bit. We did get traction. I mean, the basic concept is that you can grow weed in Washington. It has home grow laws, but they're only legal for medical marijuana recognition card holders, which it allows them to grow up to 6 plants for personal medical use and possess up to 8 ounces of usable marijuana produced from their plants. So they can grow it at their own home or as a member of a 4-person cooperative as listed out by regulations and registered with the state. Now, the downside, you cannot possess a firearm while having your own home grow per these regulations. Having a medical marijuana card prevents you from being able to own a personal firearm. And one of their major concerns in this regulation as listed by the state was that there are increased levels of crime as a result of having a marijuana grow. So I can have a grow, but I can't protect myself. And as an open carry state, that is also another interesting concept. So we've concluded that what the community is actually asking for are home grow laws for adult use consumers. There have been multiple attempts to pass home grow regulation, and they were rejected up until 2017, where the state passed legislation which required the LCB board to study the impact of potential home grow regulations. So the LCB gathered data from stakeholders and the public and concluded that a majority was pro-home grow. We will link the studies in our post on our website. So slide on over to thebakersmen.com to snag that data. with a large group of those who participated, choosing to allow home grows under the regulatory framework based on statewide standards in statute, but authorized, controlled, and enforced by local jurisdictions. So there you have it. We finally got somewhere with the study, and that was just the initial study done by the LCB board for the recommendations. They passed that back to the legislators in 2020, because of course nothing came of it. The study by the LCB board was in 2017. So in 2020, Scott's Grow, and I know we jumped into this subject matter on a Functional Pothead podcast episode, but Scott's Grow funded a study, which we're linking as well, with the WSU Impact Center to determine what impact a home grow would have on the community, the state of Washington. And those findings were very apparent. All of the concerns listed in the initial reasons for prohibiting cannabis at the home grow level or for not. And if you take a look at other states as considered by the WSU study and the study by the LCB board, there is not a dramatic increase in criminal activity as a result of home grows or access issues with minors in the states that have some form of regulated home grow laws. So shouts out to Scott, of course, Scott's Grow. Of course, we know that as discussed on the Functional Potheads episode, they did it because Scott's Grow as a company owns a company here in Washington that sells home grow or growing supplies. So wouldn't it be financially beneficial if we got some home grow regulation off the ground? My stock's gonna, my product's gonna fly off the shelves. So with the studies discussed, let's dive into pending grow laws making its way through the House. Proposed HB 1019 would allow adults 21 years or older to grow up to 6 marijuana plants per person with no more than 15 plants per household. The law would require all marijuana plants to be clearly marked with the name, date of birth, and address of the person who grew the plant, the date on which the plants were planted, the date on which the plants were or are to be harvested. Further, landlords would be able to legally forbid the presence of marijuana plants in their rental properties, and that HB 1019 mirrors the home grow provisions of neighboring states of Oregon and California. So, based off on studies, we were able to come together and put together some regulation that might make its way through. It is currently at the House level and in a committee, and we hope to get a vote on it soon and get that on its way to the Senate. So stay tuned. But more importantly, we want to hear from you all. Tune in, tap in either via our Discord or in the comments section down below. Let us know, what do you think out here in Washington is ridiculous as a regulation, and what are your suggestions to fix it? How can we correct it? Because obviously the state operates off of fact and studies, so let's gather the information we need, the things we want to change, to start working on getting studies accomplished to prove our point. Because the community always knows what needs to be done, and we're usually the first to be overlooked when it comes to cannabis regulation. So stay baked.